So Ronan, we are here at Castello di Bossi. We are in the Chianti Classico appellation, one of the most important, one of the oldest appellation in Italy. And here at Bossi we produce mainly Sangiovese. The Sangiovese, you know, is the typical grape for Tuscany. And here at Bossi we produce the Chianti Classico Riserva. We produce the Gran Selezione and two Super Tuscan, two wines Super Tuscan. One is Girolamo, 100% Merlot, and the Corbaia, our historical IGT, with the nickname of Super Tuscan, that is a blend of Sangiovese and Cabernet. The first bottle I produced in 1985. And at that time, less than 20 wines, they had the nickname of Super Tuscan. Today, there are thousands, but only less than 20, they can go back to 1985.
Can you tell us a little bit about the castle itself and the history?
The history, yeah, the first part was built in 1100. Somebody say 1099, but one year is not, doesn't make any difference. And the first part is the tower, is the basement of the tower, because at that time was an army unit.
Okay.
And during the 14th century, the unit was destroyed. And then it was rebuilt in quadrilateral shape as it is now. And they end up the reconstruction in the years 1500. Okay. This fireplace actually on the side has the date Anno Domini 1500. And they paused this when they finished to restore the place. And it's a long history because it's been as a branch of Ospedale della Scala during the Plague of Siena.
Okay.
And many noble family own this place. I bought the Castello di Bossi in 1983. And at that time, the wine was a hobby for me. I was in clothing business. Okay. And but the wine was my passion, and then slowly the passion is become bigger and bigger, and then in 1995 I decided to sell my clothing business and to concentrate in wine. Then I was thinking, you know, you can produce your shirts, my T-shirt, everywhere in the world, but you cannot produce the Chianti Classico everywhere in the world. In 1998, I bought Ranieri, the other property, and then in the year 2000, I bought the third property, Terre di Talamo, on the Morellino di Scansano appellation. So my dream was to own the best appellation in Tuscany, and this happened. So Chianti Classico, Brunello di Montalcino, and Morellino di Scansano. On the three property, we produce wine at a very high level, and we had recently, but not only recently, a fantastic score. Yes. And at the moment, we are the second best wine of the world, with the Brunello 2015 with 100 points. And 3 years ago, another 100 points with the Brunello Riserva 2010, and then at that time I was the number 3 wine of the world. At today, Bossi, with the last purchase of Barbaione winery, now we are in about 650 hectares of total land, with over 100 hectares under vines. And everything is from 5,000 to 6,000 vines per hectare. And we are organic certified from 2018. So basically, it's from 2014 that we organic, because we need 4 years to be certified. And that was another good choice, because effectively the you see the vines are much more healthy, and we don't spray any herbicide, any pesticide. Everything is natural, and again, I'm super happy that I made that choice.
Is it hard to differentiate yourself from other vineyards or wineries, because there's so many bottles, of wine in the world? Is it hard to get a lot of loyalty from your customers, or do you have customers that come back every year and buy the Brunello or buy your Chianti Classico?
The loyalty in wine is really something that if you build up your reputation nicely, the loyalty is forever.
Yes, yeah.
I have the same clients since I start. I start from very small, going to United States with a sample, and then I still have the first clients that I meet 20 years ago. And because the wine is the bottle is dark, and inside you won't see too much, no? But if you understand how we work, you stay with us forever.
And you need, you obviously, there's a bit of a digital transformation going on as well, with the presence of Bossi on your winery on the internet, for example.
Yeah.
The technology used in the field these days, picking the grapes, and
yes,
there's quite a lot of different technologies that you didn't have 40 years
There
ago.
are some technology that they had much more than, for example, the weather forecast.
Yes,
no?
yes.
That is on the harvest. In the harvest time, the weather is everything. No?
Yeah.
Everything is going according to the weather. So I can hold, I can push, I can do very late because tomorrow is the rain come, but tomorrow is short. But the weather forecast they quite reliable on 5 days, and then is a lot.
Yeah.
No? And that, for example, this is definitely something that is helping us very, 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 very much. Yeah.
Okay. And Acronis, we have a bit of a relationship with you now, and that's great, and it's fantastic to be here. And we've invited some partners down here recently, and they've really enjoyed your vineyards and your wine. Can you tell us a little bit about the Acronis wines and what you think of those?
Acronis is Sergei.
Yes.
Sergei is the minority partner of my company, and I'm very happy. And so we are doing a synergy. And for example, we create these two wines, one white, one red, very simple. But one is a Vermentino, 100%. The other one is a blend. It's a blend of Merlot, Cabernet Franc, Cabernet Sauvignon, and Petit Verdot. And they're great wine. This is the brother of the Vento, our Vermentino from Terre di Talamo, and this is the brother of the Re di Renieri. That is a wine coming from Montalcino appellation, but with a international varietal blend. So the Re, that is the brother. The Re is an example that Montalcino is not only Sangiovese, because the Re is a great wine. We got 95 points, 96 points. So, and then again is international varietals blend.
In Acronis, we talk a lot about attention to detail being very, very important. So I can imagine it's really important for you, but with the digital transformation and the technology that you're using, it's obviously very important to your business, isn't it? The websites, the machinery, everything that you're using these days. And it's obviously something Acronis do as well. We protect that data that you need, and the data you're getting from the wines, or the data you're getting with regards to the temperatures or the yeast control, that's very important data to you to actually help you with your decision making, isn't it? And it's important that that data is protected, and that's what Acronis do. But we can see from your examples that the more information you have, the better decisions you make on a regular basis. So it's
definitely we will use your experience.
Do you mind me asking what the name means? Does it mean anything for your family?
No, the names are the names with that were identify the vineyards.
Okay.
So Berardo is a common name, like could be Jacopo, but more used in the past.
Okay.
And Corbaia the same, even if Aia you find it in many super wine from Tuscany because it means the sunny place in the house, so
okay.
the area where you are more feeling better and nicer. And Berardo and Corbaia are both single vineyard. So that means that every year the grapes for these two specific wine are coming from the same soil. And in a winery that has the size of Castello di Bossi, this is important because when you have done the tour with us, you have seen that even the color of the soil is changing completely from one side to another, and that gives to the wine different minerality and different structures.
And the minerality in the soil will give the wine its taste along with the actual grape varieties as well. So.
Yes, the minerality, in my opinion, is one of the most important thing in a glass of wine. If you think about the salt in the food, minerality in the wine is the same. So think about the best dish cooked from the most famous chef in the world, but if you forgot the salt, you don't get the flavor.
Yeah.
So the minerality is playing the same game in the wine. To plant the vineyards in the right soil is really important. This is why all our wineries are in a really strategic area. So Terre di Talamo is on the sea, and you have clearly the saltiness brought from the wind. Renieri is in front of Monte Amiata, so you have a volcanic soil, red soil like a tennis court. Here, in the low part of Chianti Classico, we find a lot of prehistoric seashells. That means that 2 or 3 meters below the surface, you have a huge deposit of minerals. And clearly the roots are
going deeper every year looking for those minerals. Yeah.
And this is giving to the wine what we say the tasty part. Even because the saltiness is giving more power to the flavors, but is also make the wine more easy to drink in the sense that it's even if a wine is a full body wine, but with the right acidity and the right minerality, that is make it more pleasant. You know, you don't have to stay there and get, as I say, a little bit bored sometimes when you have this huge, big glass of cherry or jammy wine that are hard to enjoy, especially in the hot climes or if you have not a very strong food pairing.
Okay, so the minerality helps you consume it a lot easier or digest it a little bit easier.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Good. Well, do you want to open one?
Yes, why not?
So this is the Berardo. This is the single vineyard.
Yes, we are going to start with the Berardo.
What do you like about this wine?
The Berardo, for me, is a wine that reflects really well the Sangiovese in this area. So the Sangiovese has a particularity that doesn't grow everywhere. You can find Merlot or Cabernet growing in Napa Valley, South Africa, Australia, clearly Europe, but there are only 2 grapes that are really linked to the region where they grow. And one is the Sangiovese and the second one is the Nebbiolo in Piemonte. And I think that the Sangiovese in this area of the Tuscany is really the maximum expression of the Chianti Classico. And this is also the oldest vineyard of Sangiovese that we have in Castello di Bossi. So clearly vineyards that are almost 40 years old are giving us an extra concentration if you compare them to younger vineyards.
Okay.
So the Berardo is really in a perfect spot and is now in the perfect age to produce the best Sangiovese. All vineyards means also more balance, because they are more used to rain, heat. You know, they have a memory.
Matured, yeah.
And they react better to the season.
Okay.
So the Berardo, if you test all our old vintage, you will see that it's really consistent.
So we'll try this one.
Yes. Clearly, what the main characteristic in the color of the Sangiovese is the color. That is similar to Pinot Noir. So I always say it's 100% Sangiovese if you can read through. If you put a book and you can easily read through, it's Sangiovese because it's red, it's really bright, but you can see through the glass. And this doesn't happen with Cabernet and Merlot or other varieties because they're too deep.
Yes, I think it's the first thing I remember you told me actually was that, because I thought Chianti is never that color, it's always darker than that, but actually it's because it's mixed with
Yes.
Cabernet.
In the Chianti Classico appellation, the wineries are allowed to add 15% of international varietal or traditional even on top of the Sangiovese. We decide to do all our Chianti Classico, so the basic, the Riserva, the Gran Selezione, 100% Sangiovese, because as I was saying before, Sangiovese is what identify Tuscany, and Tuscany identify the Sangiovese. So we don't want to change the characteristic of a wine that is so balanced and is so nice by itself.
And a beautiful color.
Adding something else.
So what are you smelling when you smell that one?
Clearly the main flavor that is typical of the Sangiovese is the licorice, the mint and the dry fruit. These are three flavors that identify the Sangiovese, and especially the licorice and the mint give you the idea of a Sangiovese that is perfectly ripe.
Okay.
If you overripe the Sangiovese, you have a lot of red fruit, but that kind of flavor they are going to disappear during the aging in the bottle.
Okay.
So this is something that you have to consider if you buy a wine for collection.
Okay.
There are some flavors that after 1 or 2 years they're going to disappear from every wine.
Okay.
And some flavors that they're going to become bigger and more complex, like the leather or the tobacco or the spices, the pepper, all these elements, they're going to improve during the aging.
Okay.
When you test it, as I was saying, the sapidity, the minerality is right in the back. So you have the feeling of the weight of the wine when you drink it. Clearly it's better with food. All these wines are made for food, but it's really balanced. Has this good weight. But what I like about the Sangiovese well made is when it's fresh and clean in the back. So it doesn't give you this overwhelming feeling and make you feel like, you know, never tired of this taste.
Yeah, it's a very easy wine to drink, isn't it? It's very light and refreshing.
Yes, and this is a good thing of a Berardo. That is a wine that we can drink young. This is 2016. But we can even store for 20 or 30 years. We have wines here even that are 50 years old and still showing perfectly, but I would not push the aging for so long.
What grapes have we got in here?
Corbaia is the same blend since the 1985, 70% Sangiovese, 30% Cabernet Sauvignon.
Okay.
So this is really traditional super Tuscan blend. And the challenge on producing this wine is to be able to produce a Sangiovese strong enough to be side by side with a Cabernet that usually is much more powerful in terms of flavor and in terms of even taste. So when you're gonna test the Corbaia, you will feel more flavor compared to the Berardo, because clearly 2 grapes has more complexity than one, but you will find back some of the flavors that we have tested in the Sangiovese. So the mint and the licorice are also in the Corbaia. Then you have to add the peppers and the vegetables flavors that are typical of the Cabernet.
It's already darker, you can see the actual color is darker.
You see the color is completely different.
Yeah.
Even if both the wine they age in oak, so even that is gonna add some color to the wine. The Corbaia is aging 24 months in French oak barrels, and this is part of the recipe since the 1985 that we never change. And this is what we call a proper food wine. When you drink it, you wish to have something next by to have a bite with it. Yeah. And I think what we were saying before is that even here this is probably the wine where we have more concentration in terms of dry extract. But again, I'm sure that even you can feel the salinity and the acidity that clean your palate and doesn't make you overheat.
It's definitely there's a lot more minerality in this than the Chianti Classico. It's
and clearly also this is a wine that you can store for very, very long time. We have tested the 1985 a couple of years ago, and it's still in perfect shape. Okay. And we are more or less the same age, so it tests younger than me.
And how does the 1985 taste? Has it changed much over the years?
It's changed. We have even here lose a little bit of fruit, but we have some flavor of leather and tobacco that they grow and add complexity. The color is getting a little bit lighter because with the age it's get a little bit oxidated and it lose a little bit of red. But what is nice is that when you open a bottle of the 1985 or 88, both great vintage, you see that the wine is still alive in the glass. So it's changing during the tasting. You test one glass now and you wait, after 15 minutes it's gonna be evolving more. That means that the wine has more potential aging. Because if you open an old wine and it's gonna drop in 30-40 minutes, means that you make the right decision to open it. But if it's still growing the glass, means that you can, if you have another bottle, keep it.
Okay, that's a good one.
We have 2 projects for Acronis, one white, one red, and we choose together looking at our production. So for the white, we have choose one of the grapes that we produce in our winery in Maremma. So this is 100% Vermentino, produced from vineyards that is only less than 2 miles from the ocean. Okay. So there you get all the influence from the wind, the heat, and it's a really particular wine because Vermentino, we choose this wine because it doesn't grow everywhere. So Vermentino needs the heat, needs the sun, needs the ocean next by. Okay. So it grows in Sardinia, in Corsica Island, some part of the coast of France and the coast of Tuscany. It's not spread out everywhere in the world. So we have chosen something really nice, but also not so common on the market to let the people taste something typical of our region.
It's got a unique smell. It's very unique.
So you have really the Mediterranean feeling of the coast. So when you get close to the coast of Tuscany, Liguria, and the island, this is the smell that you have.
Okay.
So if you close your eyes with a little bit of imagination, you can be there. And in the mouth is bringing you again to the sea, the saltiness.
It's very warm.
Because of the sun.
Yes, that's right, it's because of the sun.
Now we are at the Cyber Red. In this
Looking forward
sunny
to
heat.
So what are the grapes in this one?
In this one we have Merlot, Cabernet Franc, Cabernet Sauvignon, and Petit Verdot. The reason why we choose this wine is because it's a little bit out from the tradition and from the scheme from Tuscany.
Okay.
So here we have done a research already 20 years ago on the best clone of Cabernet, Merlot, and Petit Verdot for the Montalcino area, because we were sure that where the Sangiovese comes so well, why these other big grapes they shouldn't. So we have made a nice research. We have selected some specific clone, and we have decided to produce this wine that is really something that is unusual for Tuscany, because a super Tuscan with no Sangiovese in it is something quite rare. And what has been challenging has been to balance all these different flavors in one bottle without risking to make the copy of some other region of the world.
So this is the original Cyber Tuscan then, is it?
Yes.
Okay, good.
And clearly what is nice in this wine and is different from other blends similar in the rest of the world is that when you test this wine, you feel 50% grapes and 50% Tuscany. So you get the flavors of the Merlot and the Cabernet and Petit Verdot, but also you get some from the terroir. So the acidity, the salinity, and some flavors that are typical of a Tuscany wine. And this makes the wine quite unique. It's a wine that it's very good for aging, so you can store for a very long time, but is also really approachable when it's young. So you can choose what you do with your bottle, but it's a wine that has his own history by itself. As I say, has been a long research to find the right clone to plant in our winery to reach this kind of blend and balance. This is our private collection, where we have all the wines since the 1961 up to today, and it's part of the history of the winery, part of the history of our family, and clearly even for us it's really interesting after many years to retest the wine and see the develop, because the only way to see how the wine is aging is open the bottle. There is nothing that you can do from outside, so this is a shame, but sometimes you have even to be lucky to find the right moment when to open it.
And some of these wines were here before you bought the Ash?
Yes. All the wines that are before the 1985, we find them. Some of vintage are really good, and some are missing, so probably there was no reason to keep them. And you will find this in many regions of Italy, but in all the old world, that especially when you go back, if you want to buy old bottles, you will see that you will find only the best vintage, because nobody has been investing times storing bottles where they don't know exactly the longevity.
So if I was to start my own collection, how would you recommend? What do I do, or how does it?
First of all, my suggestion is to try as many wine as possible. So many people are focusing on their favorite. And it's fine because you feel safe, you know, you have your wine, you taste it, and it's something that you feel confident. Me personally, I love my wine, but I try to test as many wine as possible when I'm traveling, when I'm sharing with other wine producers. And when I find something really good, what I usually do, I buy 6 or 12 bottles, and I probably enjoy the first 2 or 3 when they are young. And then I start to open one every 2 years, every 3 years, and I start to understand how fast the wine is developing in the bottle. If I see that after 6 years the colors start to be orange and too oxidated, I speed up the process. Okay. When I see that the wine is still really bright and red, I can slow down and leave the wines for more in the cellar. And you manage a little bit the cellar doing like this, maybe writing small notes of what you find different each time you open the same bottle of wine in the future.
What about storing it then as well? Is it
storing? The best way is you have to lay the bottle so the cork is in contact with the liquid, and you have less micro oxidation. And plus, when the cork is in contact with the liquid, clearly it doesn't get dry, and you have less problem in the future. The right temperature is between 12 and 18, and what is really important must be dark. So the light is a big enemy for the wine. You have to store the wine in a place where you don't turn on the light very often.
And what about when you do finally open one? How long do you let it breathe? Because I think you said to me before that different wine need different times to breathe.
There are, depends at what stage you find the wine. As I say before, if you open one wine and you start to see the oxidation already happen, so you see the orange in the glass of the wine, I suggest to let it breathe, but not too much. Because the risk is that too much oxygen will kill the wine, because the wine is already in his decreasing line. If you open the wine and you feel that the nose is really straight and you can feel only few flavors, strong but really not so much complex, and the color is still really bright, I suggest or to keep it for a couple of hours in the bottle, or you can do a quick decant. So you take the bottle in a carafe, be careful to don't throw the sediments on the bottom of the bottle, and back in the bottle. Each time you do this fast decanting is like 1 hour of letting the wine breathing. So it depends if it's a Sunday and you had time and you can allow the wine the right time, but if it's a last minute choice, you can also use this quick method.
There's no hard and fast rule about wine though. You can drink straight from the bottle as well if you wanted to.
Sometimes you open the wine and they are impressing you because they are already quite open. But especially if you start to test old wine, you will see that it's really, really clear to you as soon as you test the first glass if the wine is close with the flavor or is already open up. Clearly, more you feel the flavors of the wine hard, more time you have to let it breathe. Sometimes even 1 day is good, but the wine must be really good. It must be really, really a good wine.
It's a long time to wait for a glass of wine.
Exactly.
What's your favorite bottle in here?
Clearly, we have historically our Corbaia 1985, so the starting point of my family in this
special wine.
Yes. Unfortunately, I was born in the 1984, a terrible vintage everywhere in the world. So when I tell to people when when it's my birth, and I know that they're gonna buy me a bottle from my birthday, I always say 85. So I lie on that because 85 was a great vintage everywhere.
That's good.
We have the Chianti Classico 61 that is really impressive, and it's really light and delicate, but it still has the acidity, and it looks like, hey, I'm still here and I can give you emotion. We have a fantastic bottle from the 1988. And on the last, clearly, we have our Brunello Riserva 2010, that is the first wine to reach the third wine of the world 4 years ago. And it starts now to give the good expression what it should be. So it starts to open up. It's one of the wines that I suggest to open 1 hour before.
Okay.
Because need time to breathe. It's really powerful and needs the oxygen to get the complex.
Do you come down here with your dad and like have a bottle of wine, or is it a case it has to be a special occasion? Or?
Depends. We do quite often with my father, with Stefano. It's nice to see how the bottle are developing. Even because, as I was saying before, the same bottle, maybe tested 3 years ago, if we open the same vintage of the same wine tomorrow, it's gonna give us different flavors. So every time is a new experience, and it's nice half an hour where to talk and discuss about the wine. The choosing of the grapes, it could be done manually. So people can come and here and choose these grapes, yes, this maybe, something not, or can be done by machine. The advantage of a machine is that the machine is going to select berry by berry.
Yeah.
So if in one cluster you have 90% of good, it's going to choose that and going to leave what we don't like, for example, something that is too small or something that is overripe. Okay. It's going to stay on the plant. Okay. So we are going to do the perfect selection already on the field. And this is helping us because machine doesn't make any mistake. We can go faster. We can harvest during the night when the temperature is lower, so we keep the flavors of the grapes. And this is really helping a lot. This is one of the parts where the technology is really changing the way of harvesting the grapes.
And your dad said the toasted seeds. What did he mean by toasted seeds?
Toasted seeds means that when you open the grapes, the seeds inside, they must be brown instead of red. Okay. So you see toasted because it's like coffee.
Okay. So cooked effectively, yeah?
Exactly.
Okay.
If they are green, means that the berry is not ripe enough, because the ripeness is you can check from the sugar, but also the sugar is what is giving you the alcohol. But the alcohol is important, but not so much important as the flavor and the taste. And all the taste becomes from the skin. Okay. So the 90% of the quality of the wine is coming from this part.
Okay.